You're listening to the Dibbly-Dobbly podcast. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell to make sure you get the latest episodes of the podcast. Be sure to like and share our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. Absolutely. Now that's the talking about yourself bit done, Graham. Let's get into this cricket discussion. I chose some topics to talk about and discuss in this discussion. The first one, Graham, of this discussion is we're going to be talking about sports psychology and the role it plays in sport today. Graham, many athletes have said that working with the sports psychologist has helped them to perform better in their chosen sport. There are more and more sports psychologists within sporting teams and sporting organizations to help their players and athletes perform at their best and get the rewards for all the hard work and success on the sporting field. Graham, first of all, can you tell us what does a sports psychologist actually do within a sporting team or organization? And how has sports psychology evolved and changed since you began working in sports psychology?
If I take the last one first. When I first started, as I mentioned, Jeff was at the AIS and John Crampton was in New South Wales. That was it. There were only two sports psychologists pretty much working in the country in practitioner roles with some of the universities. But that's expanded enormously so that now AFL and state cricket teams and netball and basketball and so on will mostly have some sort of access. And I think also the sports psych role, we used to pretty much play almost the three roles. You have the sort of psychologist dealing with sort of psychological issues, if you like. You were then the counsellor dealing with sort of life-related issues, and you sort of also found yourself dealing with sort of career and a variety of things like that. Whereas now, I think those things are probably a bit more, particularly professional athletes, you've got specific people dealing with those areas. But I think the sports psych role, has it shifted? I don't think it's shifted as much as perhaps it should have. I think there's still, and I'll probably get some critique from some psychs, but I think there's still too much of of thinking about the psychologist from a clinical perspective, or more like a mental model. Or a medical model rather, which by that I mean that you have this sort of expert psychologist and that you go and see the expert and the expert helps you to be your best. I guess my training was in organisational psychology, and in organisational psychology, your role is to help the coach and the leader to create the environment in which success happens. So I've always seen the sports psychologist role as being more a catalyst, more a designer of the relationships, a designer and helping people to design their own sort of program, their own performance programs, etc. Now, within that, you are working with individuals on issues of anxiety and depression and so on. You are definitely working on performance improvement skills and so on. But I think ultimately, the best role of the psychologist is to work alongside coaches in helping to create the best possible environment in which performance can occur. Because as we know, you take an athlete, and if you can put them into a supportive environment and one where they feel that it's safe, but equally it's one where they feel that they can take risks and they can be challenged, they can do amazing things. If you don't have that environment, I think the psychologist often spends too much time trying to deal with the repercussions of them operating in an environment where they feel anxious, where they feel threatened, where they don't feel that they can experiment and test and sort of go to the edge of what their abilities might be. So I see the psychologist role as something a little, maybe I don't know, perhaps not the right metaphor, but I think it's a bit more architect and a bit less builder. I think that's an important role. Yeah, but I'm waffling a bit on that one.
Yeah. No, that's very good. And I hope everyone's learned something about the role and what they actually do within a sporting team or organization, sports psychologists, because they are a very important asset to having success for players and athletes. Let's move on to our next topic. Hi, everyone. Hope you enjoyed our cricket discussion with former first-class cricketer and sports psychologist Graham Winter. If you want to improve and get better as a cricketer, I highly recommend reading Graham's book, Mindful Cricket. After reading the book myself, I learnt loads about the mental side of cricket and how by having the right mindset can help you to be the best cricketer you can possibly be. Head over to Mindful Cricket to get a copy of the book, link to Mindful Cricket website, is in the description.